issue with that meter.
These are people had work done. These aren't,
I
these are
understand.
new meters.
Right. Well, they may not be new, because the meter doesn't get changed when we renew the service.
Whatever you're doing with the service, that these are those people.
And the meters, most of the meters are in the home, and there should be.
I'll give you the list of
Best
addresses.
thing to do is give me the addresses, I can have all the meters tested.
Okay.
If there's still an issue, I will even go to send our guys in to give them the test kits, they can put them in their toilet. What happens is, you put it in the bowl, on the back of the tank, if the flapper is leaking, the color would come up into the toilet itself, and that's how you can tell that you're leaking water.
Okay, great, I'll send you a list.
Yep.
Anyone have anything else?
Thank you for coming.
Pleasure.
Thank you very much.
Anytime you need me to come, please just send me an email, I'll be more than happy to come.
I'm gonna say thank you, but don't let it happen again, or it happened.
If you don't mind, there's so few residents here. Any of the residents who are here have any questions? All right, of course.
I have tedious questions, much like Bill was asking about boxes and stuff like that, so I'm not gonna ask him, but I will ask a question, but is it possible if I could, like, get an email and email a lot of these little questions? They're more or less fact-finding questions.
Thank you.
Is it possible through you, through the water company?
Why don't you email the questions to me, maybe I can answer them and not burden this man. Email them to me.
I'll send them to you, Tina.
Okay, and I'll do my best, if I can't answer them, I will ask Donald, and then if we can't answer them, we'll ask Mike.
All right, and one simple question, just to ask. There was a hydrant, and I remember one of the council meetings before Christmas, I mentioned that the depth of bury was wrong, right, Don? I was talking to you about it?
Yeah.
And that it was sticking out about 12 inches or 18 inches above the ground level. Was that corrected? I haven't been down, it's spruce.
Because I haven't been down. I don't
Yeah,
know what-
spruce and center. And it was the depth of,
Center?
yeah, whenever they
Spruce.
bought the fire hydrant to replace the depth of bury.
What happens is our hydrants come in standard lengths. It's depending on the length of the main is what drives the, you'll see sometimes the hydrant may set about 6 inches, maybe 2 inches, sometimes or not. I have to put extensions on that depending on the depth of the bury of the main itself. But if it's an issue, you just contact me, I'll make sure we can get it lowered or change that, whatever needs to be done. We're more than happy to take care of that.
Okay, you're not aware of it, obviously. but-
I have not been made aware of it, no.
Okay, that'll be one of the questions, I guess.
All right, thank you.
All right? If you just send it to me with the correct address, and I'll make sure it gets taken care of.
You've always been very responsive every time I sent you an email.
I think I need to
Well, I
come,
do appreciate that.
I think I need to show up a little bit more. I don't want to be a stranger, so.
Okay, yeah, Mr. Belconte, one more.
Al Del Conte, 545 Locust Avenue here in town.
Yes.
I am one of the lucky residents that had a fire hydrant changed in the front of my house. It sticks up about a foot out of the ground, which is, that's okay. I mean, that's not really a big concern. My concern is what I had brought to Mr. Goriello's table about a month ago with the repair work that gets done. I mean, they've came and replaced the section of curb that they cut out, and 4 feet away, the curb broke. The blacktop hasn't been repaired in front of the house. Topsoil and grass, I know, in the springtime. All of that's fine and dandy. The contractor comes back in 30 days and does his repair. I'd like to know who comes back a year later, or 10 years later, or 20 years later, and fixes the curb and gutter that has settled because of the repair work that was done. I've given Don about 8 addresses on my street alone where the curb has settled because of repair work that was done by the water company. And it looks fine 30 days after you're gone. But next year, it all settles. Who comes back then and does the repairs?
Obviously, I don't have a lifetime warranty on the road or the curb and everything, but I will tell you this, if it's, if the work is inferior and you're not happy with it, just bring it up to me. I can take a look at it and see how old it was since we've been there last. A lot has to do with, when we go in and do a change in infrastructure, you know, currently if it's an older road that's there, sometimes you don't get the best tie-in too, because that road is breaking up, or the curb that's there prior to us coming in is old too, and that's breaking up too, so. But if it's a major issue, if you want to send it to me by email, I will have it reviewed and see if we can do something, but I can't guarantee forever and ever that I can replace or something that sinks, you know, 5 or 10 years down the road, but I'll try to make whatever accommodations we can.
Well, I mean, I'm just bringing it up now, but these are obviously repairs that have been done. I mean, now the street has been milled and paved since then. So, I mean, but the curb cocks are there, so you know exactly why their curbs are settling. And that's a concern there. And then my next concern is you showed everybody a nice lovely picture of that water main there, that of before and after. The before picture of that water main, I'm sure some of that debris over time now gets into my water main, which is a 3/4 copper main, which over years, when I did work to my swimming pool, used to take me 3 days, 3.5 days to fill it, which now takes me over 6 days to fill it.
Well, you also have the option on pools, we can get you can fill out for a hydrant meter, and you pay a fee, and we'll bring a hydrant, you'll pick up a hydrant meter and hook it to the nearest hydrant, and you can run a hose from there to your pool if you like. We do have that. We have that offer for contractors too, when they're looking for portable water where they don't have anything to tie into. And also, I know there's pool facilities out there that fill pools up, is another thing for you. But our water is tested daily. I'm sure Garwood, one of the town hall here, is one of our testing places that we stop daily to pull water to test. So I don't know.
I'm not complaining about the quality of the
Yeah.
water. I'm more concerned with the contaminants from the water main getting into the residence side of the curb cock, which is now our responsibility of $3,000 to put a new water main in, which actually was contaminated from your water main.
Well, your existing pipe, if you opened up one of your pipes inside your home, would also have contamination in it, because copper itself builds up a buildup on the copper also. And most of the homes that I've dealt with too in Garwood have galvanized plumbing still in them, which is the same thing here. It has buildup in it. That's basically
But that is coming from,
the age. It's old.
but
like
the
I said, I don't have
contaminants and
I
the
don't
growth
have
is
a-
all coming
that's
from
not-
your
It's
water.
not loose, it's, this
It's not
grows
loose.
like
This
It's rust, it grows
adheres
on the
to
side
it.
of every piece of
You know,
pipe.
we flush yearly, you know, our mains. You'll see us at the hydrants, we're doing that during the day now. We notify when we come out around. You know, that's one of our, we do it every spring. I don't get too many water quality complaints from Garwood itself, that there's contaminants or anything coming into the home. That's why I told you that we test daily in the town, and I have not had these issues. You know, is the infrastructure old? Yes. Do I have all the money to go in? I wish I could come into town and change every pipe out in it, but I just don't have the funds. And we try to keep our water bill at a limited price, because at the end of the day, we're all paying for the infrastructure change. You know, a piece of my bill, a piece of your bill pays for this infrastructure change. So it's a process.
Thank you.
Mayor, one last personal question. You don't have to answer this, Mike, if you don't want to. Would you agree that bottled water is one of the biggest rip-offs in the American public?
And I'll say this, not because I work for the water company, but I'll just give you, by law, I have to test daily. They don't have the restrictions. The bottled water companies don't have the restrictions that I do on water. They don't have to test. And, you know, who's to say they're not filling it from a garden hose somewhere, and, you know.
Thank you very much.
Phil's more concerned about the bottles.
No, I mean, you know, 20 years ago, you told people you'd be paying bottled water. Obviously, I just
More than
answered,
this.
so I'm
What's
very
more than
happy,
this?
very happy with your answer.
I just wanted to say one more thing.
Yes.
And I guess it's kind of in line, you know, with what Al was saying. When you guys go in and start cleaning out these pipes from that picture, that's a controlled clean out. So in other words, pieces of that don't start flying off and going in to other water mains, correct?
That's why you see the yellow mains above ground.
Right.
That's your main. This main is shut down.
Right,
They're
but
not
the
being fed
underground
from
main,
that.
that doesn't go anywhere else when you guys start cleaning.
No,
It's gonna be cut on both ends too.
it's
to
cut
clean it, so-
completely, yeah, there's no, it's not tied in at all anymore. It's taken completely out of service.
Thank you very much.
No problem. Pleasure.
Thanks, Mike.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mr. Warriello.
Good evening, Mayor.
You have anything for us tonight?
I don't have anything really, but as Mr. Del Conte said, I have a couple of his issues to address. I looked at what he was describing before on Locust, and he's absolutely correct. There's a lot of places where there's curb settlement. And in most of the cases, no indication of anybody in digging in the road. Those trenches, yes, some of them marked with water, but I can tell you this, that in most cases, wherever water was put in, sewer was put in right next to it. That's the way they did it years ago. Every place, when we're digging up a road, when we find a water service, we usually can find a sewer service right below it. So I think it's somewhat difficult to decide whose responsibility it is. But if, and the curbs are settled, an inch, inch and a half, and sometimes they're, it's substantial. But, it could have happened 40 years ago, the work, and it's kind of hard to decide whose blame is at this point in time, and whether anybody's to blame. With respect to the other issue, I think Mr. Delconte brought up was the underpass. I did take a look at that. There are some cracks around the inlets that were installed last year, and I talked to Fred about putting some joint filler in there as soon as the weather is worthy enough. He did indicate that, it was bumpy going across the inlets. We put those inlets in because we had a pretty severe water problem, which resulted in a severe pavement problem underneath the underpass. The road is very flat, almost dead flat. The only way to address the water was to put in numerous inlets to collect the water at various points so that it didn't lay on the road. The other thing we do in order to get the water off the surface of the road is each inlet is set usually about an eighth of an inch, a quarter of an inch or so below the pavement. So if you come down and drive across 5 inlets in a row doing 25 miles an hour, you're gonna feel it. I mean, it's gonna be a little bumpy. It's not that it's gonna knock your shocks off, but it is gonna be somewhat bumpy. My recommendation would be, as you come down through the underpass, tend to stay to the left a little bit. You can go over the inlets and you can feel the road. But, those inlets are doing exactly what they were put in there to do, to the purpose they were intended for, and that is to dry up the road and keep the pavement in place, and I think they're doing that, so I'm quite comfortable with the results. But we will take care of the cracks as soon as we can.
Sure, just a comment. Mr. Del Conte raised that. Last time I drove over a few times back and forth, and I saw exactly what you meant about the inlets, being placed a little bit lower.
Right.
I did not know that was a practice. I thought that was some kind of mistake, but that's intentional to have those put a little.
Well, if you don't set them low, you're not gonna get the water to flow into them. You rely on the water trickling around and maybe finding its way in. But
Sure.
But we're trying to cover that area and get the water off the pavement, so each one is set, not that low.
Yeah, right.
But you will feel that when you're driving across, particularly 5 in a row, and they're only spaced 6 feet apart, so,
Right.
You will feel that, there's no doubt about that.
Right,
And,
but Mr. Del Conte's comment last time was, it gives you a washboard effect.
Yeah,
And it would, as
he
you go
does.
over that.
He's absolutely
yeah.
correct. Like I
There's
say,
a- yeah.
tend to stay maybe a foot or so off of them toward the middle. And you can do that usually because the underpass really from the north side is being fed single lane traffic, whether it's coming off north, south, or east. So you can tend to stay to the middle of the underpass until you get up to where you want to make your left or your right. And then you don't drive across it, you don't feel it. So that's all I have.
So you have,
Those
does
are
anybody
the two
have
questions that
anything
were
for
brought up
Mr.
at the last
Warriello?
meeting.
No? Thank you.
Mary, thank you. Let's see, we have a couple of things. I have an ordinance that I prepared, I think everybody has it. It pertains to changing the parking in the area of East and Locust and Beach. And if nobody has any questions or objections to that, then I would suggest that we put it on for introduction at the next meeting.
I don't think Bill and I had seen, was that emailed out today?
It's not on your agenda, but it was
Right.
emailed to everyone.
Wait,
Quite a while ago,
quite a while ago.
maybe a week and a half.
And that's due for introduction at the next meeting?
Yes.
Okay, introduction and then
And then we have a carryover issue, which was the ordinance that I had prepared at, I had prepared an ordinance that had to do with corner properties and zoning and fencing. And I guess at the public hearing, the council had questions about it and decided not to go with what had been proposed. And my recollection was that we were going to reevaluate. I think you were looking at that, Bill, if I'm not mistaken. I went back to the planning boards. I just mentioned that as just a sort of a tickler that we have to do something with that.
Right, I have reported to the board on that, so
Okay.
yes, I'll be responsive.
The other thing we could do, if that, I don't know whether the second issue was taken care of, I could separate it out and at least pass the first, we could redraw the ordinance, but okay. That's pretty much it, Mayor. I've got some other things that I've been working on, mostly with Councilwoman Palmer. But, no, I don't think any of those are right for bringing them to the council at this point.
Anyone have any questions, Commissioner Knopf?
Yeah, and what about tonight's ordinance? Did you want to mention that?
Which one?
He didn't prepare that, it's a salary ordinance, Bob, I prepared it.
Oh.
Well, I was actually going to speak about it.
Right, but, I mean, he's asking Bob to comment on Bob didn't prepare it, I prepared that.
Okay, so, yeah, all right.
I prepare salary ordinance, not the attorney.
Anybody have anything else? Not seeing any other comments from council. Do we have any unfinished business? Ms. Ariana, is there anything you want to bring up? Nothing? No report? A couple things under new business. One, I don't know if anybody's seen in the League of Municipalities email about a scholarship program for the high school. You guys been paying attention to that? It's a little awkward for us because we don't have a high school right here, but my thought was to refer this to, for investigation at this point, and, maybe to take a real good look at it, to Councilwoman Tedisco. Since she's the Board of Education, you can reach out to Christine.
Yes. I'll take care of that. I did see that, and I think I mentioned that Lewis Bay Scholarship some point last year. I
Yeah, we
ran
talked
across
about
it.
that. We got that
Right.
information really late.
Right, you did. So, yeah, definitely. I think that would be a good thing.
Guerriero, I appreciate
Sure.
that. And the other item that I have tonight under new business is a couple of the council people had talked about having some kind of procedural code of conduct or ethics drawn up for the Borough Council. And this evening I had emailed some to wasn't licensed, and I'm going to turn it that over to Ms. Palmer to check into, investigate, and maybe come back at some point. Few weeks. It's not going to be the very next meeting, but, take a look and see what other towns have done and dicey situations when they come along as a council. Those are my two new business items. I don't think I have anything else right now. comments or discussion from members of the council? Council President Palmer.
Well, as Bob mentioned, laws and licenses have been very busy last year. We have a few things up in the air right now, but nothing ready to come tonight. We probably in the next meeting or so, we're gonna have a few ordinance changes. The one thing I did want to mention was what was discussed, what was referenced to is the parking ordinance that we're gonna bring up at the next meeting, and being that we have Chief Underhill here tonight, can you just maybe speak briefly on that ordinance, what the changes are in reference to, because that